Corbon DPX 125 grain. This is going to be an interesting test. Now, the point of this ammo here is I want to try to find a load that's going to be a good snub nose load. I tested this in water jugs like 2 years ago in this 4-inch barrel. It didn't really tell me a whole lot. And today what I want to do is do some gel testing with it, but also include the snub nose load. Now, the reason why I think this might be one of the best snub nose loads is simply the way that it's loaded. It is a 125 grain, 1,300 feet per second, 469 foot-pounds energy is our rating. And one thing people don't know necessarily is that copper is less dense than lead. Therefore, that bullet is significantly longer. The walls of this hollow point are very thin as well. So that bullet's probably loaded as deep in there as potentially like a 158 grain bullet. And what that's going to do is it's going to reduce your powder charge, it's going to reduce everything. It's going to reduce your recoil. So that is going to be kind of in between a 38 plus P and a 357 Magnum. That might be the perfect ticket for a round in a snub nose. And because it's copper, you know, typically they expand really well. So this might be the best snub nose 357 load you can get. I'm thinking it might be, but we're going to find out. So we're going to fire some rounds to the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. It should be relatively efficient in that snub nose versus that 4-inch barrel. I'll do my 10% clear ballistic test. 4 layers of denim followed by 3 inches of clear ballistics to represent hitting a pectoral muscle, and the 1/4 inch MDF to represent hitting ribs or sternum into more clear ballistics. This is like a chest shot. I'm going to do one of those with each barrel length. I'm going to pull this out, and that'll be like a gut shot. So we'll see how it compares with and without the MDF, and then I'm going to shoot from, I'm going to go up to 10 yards today because I think people really like to see that practical shooting from 10 yards at my full-size steel silhouette. So let's get started with this test. All right, I'm just going to do a 3-round average. I have some black marker on these because sometimes solid copper doesn't want to read over that chronograph. And this is rated at 1,300 feet per second in our 4-inch barrel. So let's see what we get in our 4-inch barrel. Oh, 1410. 1375. 1379. So quite a bit above rated velocity. Recoil wasn't that bad. Now let's try our snub. 1205, 1237, 1234, and as expected, the recoil is it's above 38. I'll say that right off the bat. But that whole wrist snap and punch in your hand of a normal 357, this does not have. This is just pretty snappy. So let's set our ballistics gel block and see what we get with these rounds. All right, first up we have our 4-inch barrel. Do a shot through the MDF, and then we'll do it without the MDF. So here's our MDF shot, ribs or sternum simulation. All right, here's our no MDF, our gut shot. All right, so we're seeing a lot of damage in that gel. We don't necessarily see that with very many rounds. And I got to point this out here. Through our MDF, that's a big hole. So we're expanding within this first 3 inches here. And that's causing a massive amount of damage and trauma in this, you know, tissue simulation. So with our MDF, typically that reduces a lot of the damage in here, but really it did not. And we went to a penetration of 16.5 inches, which is pretty good. And without our MDF, we went to almost exactly 19.25, which, you know, this is a little bit less dense than real ballistics gel. Real ballistics gel, you know, organic would probably penetrate to about even 18 inches. So when I'm looking at this, I'm saying that's doing really well. And with solid copper, one thing to point out is if you were to hit like a wall, car door, something like that, it's not going to mushroom out. It's going to stay intact, punch through it very easily, because copper is a lot harder than lead. So let's try our snub nose and see how that does. All right, snub nose, MDF, chest shot. See how it does. All right, now MDF gut shot. All right, so what we're seeing there is really good performance. We have a bigger flowering without the MDF than what we do with the MDF. And what we're seeing here, this is again where we're impacting. It's doing the exact same thing as what it did in the 4-inch barrel. You know, you're really putting your odds in your favor when you use a copper bolt that's designed to pedal out like that. And we're seeing basically the same damage with or without the MDF, just a smaller expansion with the MDF shot. So with our MDF shot, what we're looking at is a penetration of about 14 3/4. No MDF, we're looking at about 16 3/4. So there's a difference there, but I'm saying what I'm seeing here, based on its shootability and what we're seeing for consistency at our gel test, is that is a really good round. It's going to be kind of hard to beat that in a snub nose, to be honest. That's a good round. Let's shoot from that 10 yards and see what we get. All right, 10 yards from the target. So with this, I only have 4 rounds left, so I'm just going to do the snub nose, not the 4-inch barrel, because it's pretty easy to hit with a 4-inch barrel. So what I want to do here is just get an idea of the shootability. So I want to get a sight picture, and I want to just fire them off kind of rapid and see if I can hit the target, because that'll kind of shed some light on stuff of how they feel for me and all of that. So let's see if we can get it. All right, I pulled a couple over to the left a little bit. That's just me, but what I'm seeing here is this, it shoots so good. It does not feel like a typical 357 Magnum. Like I said before, you don't have that punch right here that you normally feel, and you don't have that wrist snapping feel. All you kind of feel, especially when I did that and I kind of let that recoil go on me, it just kind of felt like a push, push, push. Very easy to shoot, and that's really important because 357 Magnum is brutal on a gun like this. When you step it down a little bit and you increase your odds by making a bullet design that's going to perform really well and lowering that recoil, you increase your chance of hitting, because when you know it's going to be brutal, you're going to jerk those shots, and that's the last thing you want to have in a self-defense situation. And generally you probably wouldn't be thinking about that, but that's something that, you know, everything about this round is putting it in your favor. This is going to do pretty well, really a lot of damage, a lot of shootability. So I'm going to say for now, this is the best 357 Magnum snub nose load you can buy up until this point in my testing. And I've been testing for about 3 years in this gun, and that's the best one thus far. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.